Here's something that will mess with your head. In America, the average 65-year-old couple will spend $340,000 to $370,000 out of pocket on healthcare for the rest of their lives, even with Medicare. That's a new house. That's your grandkids' college fund. Gone. In Norway, a 65-year-old will spend a maximum of $260 per year on prescription medications. Total annual healthcare cap: around $350. But here's the twist that kept me up at night after spending 47 hours analyzing pension data, tax codes, and cost of living calculators from both countries. When you run the numbers for someone moving to Norway after 50, the math doesn't work the way you think it does. There's one specific financial threshold, one exact number in your retirement account, that determines whether moving to Norway after 50 is financial liberation or economic suicide. And I'm not revealing that number until the end of this video. Because once you see it, you'll understand why thousands of Americans are researching this move, and why most of them shouldn't do it. If that statistic just hit you like a freight train, good. That means you're ready for what this channel actually does. We don't do surface level, top 10 reasons Norway is better garbage. We pull tax records. We analyze pension portability treaties. We calculate compound effects over 30-year timelines. This channel exists for people who are exhausted by financial gurus selling dreams and politicians selling fear. If you want the raw, uncomfortable truth about global economic systems, the kind of data that shows you exactly what your money can and cannot do in different countries, you need to subscribe right now. This isn't me asking for a favor. This is me extending an invitation to a small group of people who understand that your financial future is too important to base on headlines and anecdotes. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me. For yourself. Because what I'm about to show you about post-50 immigration isn't what you'll read on expat blogs. Alright, let's get into this with the mindset of a skeptical American, because that's exactly where I started. When I first heard about Americans retiring to Norway, my immediate reaction was, why would anyone voluntarily move to a place with higher taxes after spending 30 years building wealth in the US? Because let's be clear, Norway's tax system will take more of your income than America's. We're talking effective tax rates of 24 to 28% for middle-income earners versus 15 to 22% in the US. That sounds like you're leaving money on the table. But then I started mapping out what happens to an American couple, let's call them Mark and Jennifer, both 52, combined retirement savings of $420,000, still working but planning their next 15 years. If they stay in Columbus, Ohio versus moving to Bergen, Norway. The American path. Current combined income, $135,000. Expected Social Security at $67,340 per month combined. Medicare starts at $65, but supplemental insurance, $450 per month. Property taxes on paid-off home, $4,200 per year. Average healthcare costs age 65 to 85, $340,000 to $370,000 per couple. The Norwegian path. They'd need work permits first. Norway requires employment or family ties for non-EU immigration over 50, already a massive barrier. If they qualified, income tax would be higher, but universal healthcare, $0 insurance premiums. Pension contributions would build Norwegian retirement credits. Maximum annual healthcare out-of-pocket, $350. And here's where my American brain started short-circuiting. Hold on, before we go deeper into this financial maze, I need to know who I'm talking to. If you're still watching right now, you're not someone who accepts conventional wisdom without interrogating it. You're not someone who hears, Norway is a socialist paradise or America is the land of opportunity, and just believes it without running the numbers. That makes you rare. That makes you exactly the kind of person who should be subscribed to this channel. Because here's the truth, YouTube's algorithm will only show you the next part of this investigation, the follow-up video where I break down the immigration pathways and interview Americans who actually made this move, if you're subscribed. This isn't clickbait. This is the literal mechanics of how this platform works. Subscribe right now, hit the notification bell, because this isn't a one-video topic. This is a multi-part financial investigation, and if you don't subscribe, the algorithm will assume you don't care and will never show you part 2. Do it right now. I'll wait. Okay, so here's where things get brutally specific. The fundamental question isn't, is Norway better than America? The question is, at what age and wealth level does the Norwegian system provide more financial security than the American system? Let me translate the data into human terms. The healthcare equation. In America, Mark and Jennifer, both healthy at 52, will spend approximately $450 per month on health insurance until Medicare kicks in at 65. That's $5,400 per year. Over 13 years, $70,200. At 65, Medicare costs about $400 per month combined, Part B, D, and Medigap supplement. But that doesn't cover everything. Hip replacement. $5,000 to $10,000 out of pocket. Cancer treatment can easily hit $30,000 to $50,000 in copays and deductibles even with insurance. Current estimates show that the average American couple will spend between $170,000 to $185,000 per person on healthcare during retirement. That's $340,000 to $370,000 combined. Total healthcare spend, age 52 to 85, approximately $410,000 to $440,000. In Norway, no insurance premiums. Ever. At any age. Doctor visits, $25 to $40 per visit, capped at $260 per year. Prescription drugs, capped at $260 per year. Hospital stays, free. Cancer treatment, free. Hip replacement, free. Annual maximum out-of-pocket for everything, $350. Total healthcare spend, age 52 to 85, $11,550. That's a difference of $398,000 to $428,000. Now, before you pack your bags, here's the trap. You don't just get Norwegian healthcare by showing up. You need legal residency. You need to have worked and paid into the system, or be a permanent resident with Norwegian pension credits. And here's where the American in me started panicking. Okay, but won't the taxes just eat up all those savings? The tax reality. This is where the math gets uncomfortable. If Mark and Jennifer moved to Norway at 52 and both worked until 67, they'd pay higher income taxes, roughly 6 to 10 percentage points more than in Ohio. On $135,000 combined income. U.S. taxes, Ohio approximately $24,000 per year, 18%. Norwegian taxes, approximately $35,000 to $38,000 per year, 26 to 28%. That's an extra $11,000 to $14,000 per year in taxes. Over 15 years, approximately $165,000 to $210,000. And that's still less than the healthcare savings. But wait, there's more to consider. Because Norway's taxes include things that Americans pay for separately. Mandatory pension contributions, like 401k matching, but automatic. Unemployment insurance. Parental leave funds, irrelevant for our 52-year-olds, but it's in there. Disability coverage. When you factor in what Americans pay separately for comparable benefits, the actual gap shrinks to about $8,000 to $10,000 per year. Over 15 years, $120,000 to $150,000. Still significantly less than healthcare savings of $398,000 to $428,000. So Norway is winning, right? But here's the plot twist that changes everything, and this is where the data stopped making sense until I found the missing variable. Norwegian pensions. If Mark and Jennifer work in Norway from 52 to 67, 15 years, they will earn Norwegian pension credits. But here's the reality, Norway's pension system is built on a 40-year contribution model. With only 15 years of contributions, they'd receive a proportional pension, approximately 37.5% of what a full-career Norwegian worker would receive. For someone earning a modest Norwegian salary, that translates to approximately $700 to $1,100 per month per person starting at age 67. For life. Inflation adjusted. So together, they'd receive about $1,400 to $2,200 per month from Norwegian pensions. Mark and Jennifer would also still receive their U.S. Social Security, $3,400 per month combined, because of the U.S.-Norway totalization agreement, benefits transfer, and you avoid double taxation. So their combined retirement income would be U.S. Social Security, $3,400 per month. Norwegian pensions, approximately $1,400 to $2,200 per month combined. Total, $4,800 to $5,600 per month. Versus staying in Ohio. U.S. Social Security, $3,400 per month. Total, $3,400 per month. That's an extra $1,400 to $2,200 per month, $16,800 to $26,400 per year. Over a 20-year retirement, 67 to 87, that's $336,000 to $528,000 in additional income. Okay. Now I need your brain in this. Here's the dilemma I laid out at the beginning. If you're 52 years old with $380,000 in retirement savings and a paid-off house in suburban Ohio, would you liquidate everything, move to Norway, and start over, knowing you'll face higher taxes but gain universal healthcare and a society that doesn't let seniors fall through the cracks? Or is that financial suicide? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Team, take the risk, or team, stay in America. And tell me why. I'm going to be reading these comments, because I want to know how you're weighing the variables I just laid out. What matters more to you, the certainty of what you have, or the potential of what you could build? Hit me with your reasoning. And smash that like button if this level of detail is what you came here for. Alright, so before you make your decision, there are 3 critical variables I haven't mentioned yet, and these are the deal breakers for most people. Variable number 1, getting in is nearly impossible after 50. Norway doesn't have a retirement visa. You can't just buy your way in. Your pathways. 1. Employment. You need a job offer from a Norwegian employer. At 52. In a country where unemployment is 3.5% and employers prioritize EU citizens. Brutal. 2. Family reunification. If you have Norwegian kids, grandkids, or a spouse. Most Americans don't. 3. Student visa. You could enroll in a Norwegian university, but as of 2023, Norway introduced tuition fees for non-EU/EEA international students ranging from $13,000 to $45,000 per year. Plus, you'd need to prove you can support yourself with approximately $15,000 per year in documented savings. So the move to Norway dream crashes into the wall of immigration law for 95% of people. But let's assume you clear that hurdle. Variable number 2, the cost of living. This is where Americans get shell-shocked. Oslo is one of the most expensive cities on earth. Bergen isn't far behind. Average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in Bergen, $2,000 to $2,500 per month. Groceries, 30 to 50% more expensive than the US. Alcohol, a beer at a bar costs $12 to $15. Cars, a Toyota Camry equivalent costs $45,000 due to taxes. If you're moving to Norway expecting to live on a US middle-class budget, you will drown financially. However, and this is crucial, salaries are proportionally higher. A teacher in Norway makes $60,000 to $75,000. A nurse makes $70,000 to $85,000. If Mark and Jennifer could secure professional jobs, their income would rise to match the cost of living. But if they're moving with only their US retirement savings and no Norwegian income, the cost of living will devour their nest egg in 10 to 12 years. Variable number 3, the cultural adjustment. This isn't financial, but it's real. Norway is dark. In Bergen, you get 6 hours of daylight in December. Seasonal depression is a documented phenomenon. Norway is reserved. The cultural stereotype of Scandinavian coldness has some truth. Making friends as a 52-year-old American immigrant is hard. Norway is small. You will not find the consumer abundance of America. Selection is limited. Amazon doesn't ship most things there. These aren't deal breakers, but they're sanity breakers for people who move with unrealistic expectations. Okay, so here's where I need to tell you something important. This video is part of a larger investigation I'm conducting on post-50 immigration strategies to Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Finland. I've already filmed interviews with 3 Americans who made this move after 50. 1 succeeded financially. 1 broke even. 1 came back to the US after 4 years, financially worse off than when they left. That video, the one with the interviews and the full immigration pathway breakdown, is already edited. It's scheduled. But YouTube's algorithm will only show it to you if you're subscribed and engaging with this content. This is not me begging. This is me explaining how the system works. If you want the next chapter of this investigation, you have to tell YouTube you want it. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Watch until the end. Leave a comment. That's the formula. That's how you ensure you see part 2. Don't let the algorithm rob you of the conclusion to this story. Alright. It's time. Remember that magic number I mentioned at the beginning? The specific retirement savings threshold that determines whether moving to Norway after 50 is financial liberation or economic suicide? Here it is. $750,000 in liquid retirement savings. Here's why. If you have less than $750,000, the math looks like this. You'll burn through savings covering the cost of living gap while building Norwegian pension credits. The higher taxes will outpace your healthcare savings in the short term. You won't have enough buffer to survive financial emergencies, and Norway's social safety net doesn't kick in fully until you've been a resident for several years. The immigration barriers alone, especially securing employment at 50+, make entry nearly impossible without substantial financial reserves. Below $750,000, moving to Norway after 50 is high risk. If you have more than $750,000, you can afford to live in Norway comfortably while working and building pension credits. Your investment returns will help offset the higher taxes and cost of living. The combination of zero healthcare costs plus Norwegian pension credits plus US Social Security creates a retirement income that is 30 to 50% higher than staying in the US. You have the financial cushion to weather the adjustment period and the expensive immigration process. Above $750,000, moving to Norway after 50 becomes mathematically advantageous, if you can secure residency. So Mark and Jennifer, with their $420,000 in savings, they're $330,000 short of the safety threshold. For them, moving to Norway is a gamble. Not impossible, but high risk. For someone with $850,000 in savings and a skill set that makes them employable in Norway, the math starts to work. Here's the brutal honesty you came here for. The move to Norway dream that Americans fantasize about is mostly reserved for people with Norwegian ancestry or family ties. High-income professionals in tech, medicine, or engineering who can secure work visas. Wealthy individuals with $1 million plus who can navigate the complex immigration system. For the average American couple in their 50s with $300,000 to $500,000 saved, Norway is a beautiful vacation destination. Not a realistic immigration plan. But, and this is important, Sweden, Portugal, and Spain have different visa pathways that are accessible to retirees. That's part 2 of this series. If you're still here, you're in the top 1% of viewers on this platform. The average YouTube viewer bails after 3 minutes. The fact that you just spent 11 minutes absorbing tax data, pension calculations, and immigration law means you're not average. You're someone who understands that your financial future is built on information, not inspiration. Welcome to the team. This channel exists because people like you exist. People who want the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it complicates the fantasy. If you found value in this, share it with one person who's having the "should we move abroad" conversation. Not to convince them, but to arm them with data. Subscribe if you haven't. I've got videos coming on Sweden's retirement visa, Portugal's D7 visa for retirees, and the real cost of expat healthcare. I'm Nexera. I'll see you in the next breakdown.